Hey, it's Travis Anderson here. I'm with Peter Lindquist at Guaranteed Rate, and today we're going to talk all about pre-approvals, how it might affect your credit, what exactly are they, and hopefully some other questions that you might have. So, hey, Peter, welcome. Why don't you tell us what is a pre-approval letter?
Yeah, so um, a pre-approval letter is distinctly different than a pre-qualification letter. And let me just define it here quickly. A pre-qualification letter is something where you've talked to me and I've said, okay, based on what you're saying, it sounds good. Or you've gone online and you typed in some data and it said, okay, you're even, it might say pre-approved, but you're really pre-qualified. Pre-approved means that a loan officer has actually analyzed your scenario, reviewed your documentation, and now says, yes, I've reviewed all this, and this borrower is now pre-approved to buy a home. It's absolutely essential for realtors when they submit an offer that you have a pre-approval letter that says that that a loan officer has reviewed it and that you're good for the money that you need to borrow.
Yeah, and in both instances, you're pulling credit, but in the pre-approval, you're verifying income and assets and debts and all those things. Is that correct?
Not exactly. With a pre-qualification, we typically have not pulled credit.
Oh,
Um, and what you do online, I'm not sure what it is that is offered online. Sometimes it pulls credit, but it's you can enter anything that you want. So, I make $1 million, and so it'll tell you you're good for $50 million, right? So, but when it comes to dealing with a loan officer, yeah, at that point, we're going to pull credit if you want to do a pre-approval. Most people want to do a pre-approval. And when we pull credit, we do so as a soft credit pull, at least my company does. And the benefit to a soft credit pull is that it has no impact on your credit score whatsoever. So there's really no cost or obligation once you've applied for a pre-approval because it has no impact on your credit whatsoever.
okay. Wow, that's learning something new. Hey, Peter, what would be the first step then for somebody to obtain their pre-approval?
Yeah, so the first best step is to apply online. So I'll put a link in the description below that has a link to my website. You click apply now. And in that application, you're going to enter what your income, assets, and debts are. And then it'll do a soft pull on your credit and tell you what your credit score is. Okay. I'll just note that in that application, it really should be simple. It shouldn't take you more than 10 or 15 minutes. It should be information off the top of your head. Where people get stuck is it might say, how much is in your 401k? Well, no one in the world knows how much is in their 401k, right? So you put in an estimate. Don't look it up because it changes every 5 minutes anyways. So go through it quickly so that now I get the data. That data is just coming to me. And now I'm going to connect up with you to review it together, typically on a Zoom call, but it can be on a phone if you prefer.
Okay, yeah, good. So, first step is application online. A soft credit pull happens, and you said that they actually see their credit score in that application. Is that correct?
Yeah, they'll see their credit score. And with me, anyways, I like to meet with my borrowers on a video call. So then I can actually show them their credit report and show them instances where they might be able to improve their credit score. Or if there's a challenge in their credit score, I'll be able to identify that and actually show it to them so that they have an idea of what needs to happen in order to get that repaired.
Yeah, and uh, quick, I would say referral to that or reference to that or testimony to that maybe is that you did that for me when I purchased my home 8 years ago. You said, hey, you've got a Kohl's credit card. Why don't you go buy some jeans at Kohl's or something like that? And that'll help your credit. And it did. And I don't use my Kohl's credit card, but it was an example of something that you did for me.
Do you use the jeans?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
wearing them right now.
All right. That's
What,
good.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So So they do that kind of first step, and then you schedule a call. And then what types of documentations and things will you require after that phone call?
So it's impossible to really tell you without having your application. Um, and that's because everybody's scenario is different. In general, if you're employed, it's going to be your last couple of pay stubs and your last couple of years W-2 statements. If you're self-employed, it's generally going to be your last 2 years worth of federal tax returns. But again, I encourage people to just wait and let me get your data first, and then I'll ask for it. Don't, I'll see people wait on pre-approval because they're waiting for their next pay stub or they're waiting for their W-2. Let's not do that, because you can just tell me all this data is malleable. I can change it in the system. There's no conceivable reason to wait before you apply online. If you are going to start earning, $1 more an hour and that pay stub is 2 weeks from now, just tell me and we'll do the pre-approval based on that. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's what the process would be.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And then you brought up sort of the difference between self-employed and employed. Uh, is there different restrictions, or how does that look for if you're a self-employed borrower, for example?
Yeah. So self-employed borrower, kind of in general, the challenge has always been in the mortgage industry that we look at what your net income is. So the self-employed borrower will say, I made $300,000 last year. Well, that might be the gross revenue, but if it cost you $298,000 to earn the $300,000, you made $2,000 from the lender's perspective. So, and there's some intricacies to that I can't just gloss over, um, but that's kind of the basic premise that what we're looking for on your tax returns.
Yeah, that makes sense. In short, you have to have earned income and then have evidence of that income
Yeah.
through your tax returns as self-employed, correct?
Yep. And actually, your statement is true for a buyer also. I mean, a buyer who's employed also. We have to know that you've been working and that your employment or your employment stream, income stream, is anticipated to continue for at least 3 years.
Sure.
And so we get into all of that, during the application phase.
Okay. A lot of times I'll see pre-approval letters come across, Peter, and there will be an expiration date on there. What does that mean, and what happens if we, kind of come up to that expiration date?
Yeah, typically that expiration date is going to be 4 months from the date that your credit was pulled, because that's how long that credit report is good for, as according to mortgage guidelines. So it's really simple to update it. We do another soft credit pull at the end of it, and maybe we collect another pay stub to update what your income is. And now that's good for another 4 months. And it's still no cost. So, I've had people that extend it for a year and a half before they actually buy a home, because it's so simple to extend it. There's no reason to wait before applying online, and let's get started.
Right. Yeah, and I know we can't discuss what exact interest rates are, in our videos because it's going to be specific to the market timing and, of course, the borrower themselves. But I assume you're quoting an interest rate at these, with the pre-approval. Uh, Tell me, are they locked into that rate? Do they have, tell me about that process, I guess.
Yeah. So when we go through that video call, I'm going to show the borrower what rates are currently, but I'm also going to use some projections into the future to show here's what happens if interest rates are 1/4% higher or 1/4% lower by the time you're ready to buy, because they're absolutely unpredictable. So 99% of the time, you're not locking that interest rate at the point of application. There are many programs where we can lock the rate at application for a period of time. The problem with that has been that in this market, it's been very hard to predict. If I give you a pre-approval today, are you going to be able to buy and close by the end of April? Who knows, because of the shortage in the industry. So that pre-approval, if we lock through the end of April and you're not closing until June, was kind of a pointless effort.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I got to look to see what I have here. I mean, you've touched on the credit a couple of times here, Peter, so I think I'm at the last question.
And that's good because we want this to be succinct.
Yeah, so Peter, we've covered a lot, obviously, and we're not going to be able to cover everything, but at this point in this video, what else do you think a buyer watching this should know about pre-approvals?
So I'm going to just boil it down to don't wait. Even if you're not buying for 2 years, let's just pull it now, because now I can give you kind of pointed advice based on your financial information. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is changes to your financial status after the pre-approval can nullify your pre-approval. So yes, the pre-approval is good for 4 months, assuming that everything is essentially the same or better. But you lose your job or have income changes or change your job, now that pre-approval is null and void. And now we need to update it with whatever the new information is. And again, that's fine and easy, but some people assume that once they've given you a pre-approval letter, that's static and that's as good as gold. And it's not as good as gold because it's subject to what your financial status is going forward as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think of it sort of as an audit. It's almost like you're auditing, the lender is going to audit your personal financial capabilities. And that audit takes a couple of weeks. And if they find something that isn't what we thought it was at pre-approval, it's going to change the outcome of that pre-approval, correct?
Yeah, that's it. That is a good way to put it. I'm going to clarify, though, when you mentioned a couple of weeks, a pre-approval can be done in as little as 2 hours. It's
Sure.
Once you've applied online, I look at your stuff and I go, some of them take longer because we need to get more data and we need to get some more answers to it. But just want to answer, because a lot of people have that question, how long does it take? And it can be very, very fast.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's great, Peter. I just want to say thanks to everybody watching the video. I hope you enjoyed learning about pre-approvals, and we'll see you at the next one.